should we proceed?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Yes,
So
sir.
we'll go on with this another important topic. So previously you were taught about pharmacokinetics. Okay, that was the what the body does to the drug. Okay. So now we are going
Sir,
to see. Yeah, please.
sir, screen is not visible. It's all white.
Now it is visible.
No, sir.
I don't know, but any other student having problem with seeing the presentation?
No, sir.
Yes, sir. It's not visible.
So please check for your own connection. If some, lot of students can clearly see the presentation, so check it for yourself. I have re-uploaded, the presentation, so it should be clearly visible. Now is it visible?
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. So we'll proceed. Okay, so we are now going to see. So you have already been taught about what the body does to the drug. So that was pharmacokinetics. Okay. So now we are going to see what the drug does to the body. So that is basically the pharmacodynamics. Okay. So in pharmacodynamics, what do we study? We mainly study the dynamics of the drug. That is why it is called pharmacodynamics. So dynamics means the ever-changing effects of the drug on the body. Okay, so like a drug might cause a stimulation of certain effect in the body. Okay, like acetylcholine leads to increase in the salivary secretion, or adrenaline leads to increase in blood pressure. Okay, so on the other hand, some drugs might lead to inhibition of certain function. Like a lot of benzodiazepines they lead to sedation. Okay, some drugs might lead to irritation. Okay, a lot of anti-cancer drugs they lead to necrosis of the veins. Okay, some are cytotoxic drugs, whereas others are simply the replacement drugs. Okay, like the hormone recombinant hormones they are used for treatment of various deficiency disorders, like the growth hormone is commonly used for deficiency of growth hormone. Okay, so in pharmacodynamics entails all these aspects of drug, whether it causes stimulation or inhibition or irritation or all. So remember this irritation, so that is an adverse effect. Okay, so pharmacodynamics also incorporates all the adverse drug effects, because after all they are caused by the drugs. Okay, so some drugs lead to, very frequently nausea and vomiting, like the anti-cancer drugs. So they are also part of pharmacodynamics. Okay, so the only thing we have to see whether, the drug itself is causing the nausea and vomiting, or it is caused by the underlying disease itself. So that is a separate part of, assessing the causality of adverse drug reaction, that will be taught in separate lecture. Can you mute yourself? Yeah, thank you. Okay, so in a nutshell, pharmacodynamics represents the interaction between drug molecules and biological structures of the organism. Okay, so what are these biological structures? So these biological structures can be divided into specific structures, or they can be non-specific. So by specificity, when we say, a drug is interacting, so what is specificity of a drug? It is interacting with certain specific sites on the cell membrane or inside the cell, as we will see in the subsequent slides, where the drug is acting. It is binding to its the potential, what we call as a macromolecule or a receptor, whether it is located on the cell membrane or is it inside the cell. Okay. On the other hand, some drugs, have non-specific action, what we call as a physical action. Just simply there is no binding of drug to any molecule, they just go there and exert the effect. Like the osmotic diuretics, just they go in the tubules and attract water from the medullary interstitium, and they lead to diuresis. Similarly, the oxidative osmotic laxative drugs, they just retain the water and just flush out the whole of the colon. All right. So what we are concerned now is the specific action of the drug. That is how a drug interacts with specific sites on the cell membrane, okay, or the receptors, okay. So this is what we are going to focus in pharmacodynamics. That is how the drug acts, okay. What are the molecular aspects of specific drug action? So now main specific targets of drug actions, they can be either, drug can bind to the DNA, or it might bind to certain microbial organelles, very commonly the antibiotics which we use, or a drug can bind to its target macroproteins, which can include the enzymes. Okay, so these target macroproteins are nothing but the receptors. Okay, so a drug binding to a receptor, that is the receptor. So we'll see in the subsequent slide how will we define receptor. So this slide just simply shows, a class of anti-cancer drug alkylating agents bind to, sites within the DNA. It's not always that a drug is binding to a macromolecule, proteinaceous molecule. It might also bind to a DNA or a drug, as you can see, a lot of antibiotics, it might bind to, it might inhibit the protein synthesis in the various microbes, or it might, even bind to the DNA within the microbial organ. Okay. So, but now our main focus in pharmacodynamics is basically how the drugs bind to various macroproteins. Okay. And the major class of these macroproteins are the receptors, what we call as the receptors. So more than 150 types of receptors are there with many types. And remember, the ion channels, certain drugs bind to ion channels, which can be, voltage gated ion channels or ligand gated ion channels, or even some drugs, bind specifically to enzymes like, the acetylcholinesterase inhibitors, or, the proton pump inhibitors, they inhibit hydrogen potassium ATPase. A lot of diuretic drugs, they bind to specific enzymes, and inhibit them, like, the carbonic anhydrase inhibitors and all. And a lot of drugs, are simply act as, or rather they are substrates for a lot of transporters. Okay, so you can see, importantly, Paul Ehrlich, a great scientist, he said that a drug will not work unless it is bound. Okay, so this is in fact a general rule that a drug will bind to a macroprotein, albeit it might be a receptor. Usually it is a receptor, which itself, an enzyme, or it can be an enzyme, or an ion channel, or a transporter. So they are all basically, a type of receptor only. Okay. Okay, so what are actually receptors? They are the regulatory macroproteins, okay, through which, please, can you mute yourself, wherever it is. So receptors are simply the regulatory macroproteins to which the drug binds, and they exert the actions, okay. So what are the ligands for these receptors? Okay, so normally the receptors are bound by the endogenous ligands, like various neurotransmitters, okay, acetylcholine or noradrenaline or various hormones, growth hormone and all those which are produced inside the body, autocoids like histamine, prostaglandins, various growth factors, inhibitory factors, or normally, the receptors are made to bound by exogenous agents, that is the drugs, what we commonly call them xenobiotics, means which are foreign to the body. Okay, so now how can these ligands exert their effect on the receptor? Okay, they can either stimulate the receptor or they might inhibit the receptor. Okay, so broadly we classify these ligands as either agonists, which activate the receptors, or antagonists which block the receptor. So you can see here an agonist is binding to its receptor, and further it might lead to ion channel opening or any specific enzyme activation or inhibition or ion channel DM, which we'll study in subsequent slides. Whereas an antagonist, when it binds to a receptor, so it simply produces no effect. Okay, so we will see how all the antagonists act. They might act as a competitive manner or in a non-competitive manner. Okay, so this slide is basically showing you, an agonist acts by inducing an active conformation of receptor protein. Okay, so the play button is switched on, so agonist will exert its action. Antagonist, when it binds to a receptor, there is no conformational change in the receptor. Okay, and this is the signal for the end. So no action will be exerted. All right. So now we have to see what are the types of interaction which occur between the drug and the receptors. Now you see in the red highlighted letter, commonly the interaction between the ligand, that is the drug, and the receptor is normally weak interaction. And whenever the interaction between a drug and a receptor is weak, okay, like an ionic bond or a hydrogen bond or a hydrophobic bond or van der Waals forces, then that means the action of the drug will last for a shorter duration of time, and that action of the drug can be modulated easily. Okay, either it can be potentiated by another drug or it can be blocked by another drug quite easily. Okay, whereas if the interaction between one drug and a receptor involves covalent bonds, which are very strong bonds, so it will be very difficult to either potentiate the action of this drug, okay, or or simply displace this drug from the receptor. Okay, and if this such kind of drug which binds to receptor by covalent bond goes there and binds, it will be obviously remaining there for a longer time, and obviously its duration of action will be longer. Okay, so they remember this basic thing, that whenever a drug binds to receptors, so commonly it is a weaker interaction. Okay, so that is why most of the drugs, you will find their half-lives are in the range of hours, whereas some drugs, they bind with covalent bonds and their half-lives are very long. Okay, so it's uh, not only, it is also a determinant of the duration of action of the drug, as I said. Now, why a drug binds to a particular receptor? You see, all the microorganelles in the body, they are all present in a three-dimensional structure. So a receptor is always seen by the various studies in a three-dimensional configuration. Okay, so accordingly, the drugs also have a three-dimensional structure so as to fit into the receptor. Okay, so just remember this basic thing, that all the drugs which are synthesized, they have three-dimensional structure, which is simply to correspond to the three-dimensional structure of the receptors which are existing in the body. All right. Now, certain important aspects what we study in pharmacodynamics are what is called as the affinity or an intrinsic activity and selectivity. Okay, so what is affinity? So any drug which binds to the receptor is said to have affinity. Okay, so whether it is an agonist or an antagonist. Okay, as I said, agonist will stimulate the receptor, antagonist will inhibit the receptor. Okay, but first, obviously, they have to bind to the receptor. This question normally comes in your PGA exams, MCQs, that drug might, which of the following properties of a drug, it's absent in an antagonist, so they gave you one of the choices as affinity. Okay, so a lot of students mark it as affinity. Okay, so always remember, any drug which binds to a receptor needs to have an affinity for the receptor. Okay, if anything does not bind to a receptor, obviously, that will be acting through a non-specific action, as I told you in the earlier slide. So any drug which binds to receptor is said to have affinity. And subsequently, on binding the receptor, that drug which produces the effect, so this binding of drug to the receptor is called coupling. and the effect which is produced by the drug is also called as the intrinsic activity. So in pharmacodynamics, this intrinsic activity is normally measured by the maximal response which is produced by the drug. Okay, and we use it parallelly with the word efficacy. So efficacy defines the intrinsic activity of the drug. Okay, so it is a maximal response. Another important aspect of a drug which we study in pharmacodynamics is the selectivity. Selectivity simply means a drug which will be binding to a single type of receptor will be highly selective. Okay, instead of the blockers, I would like to tell you, like you see, like the beta 2 agonists. Okay, like these beta receptors are present normally in the muscles also and in the bronchus also. Okay, so when you give a drug and let's say it produces in the bronchus bronchodilation, and in the muscles it increases the blood flow, okay, or in the blood vessels it leads to vasodilation. Okay, and when you plot their dose response curve, which we will study subsequently, but one thing is for sure, if a drug produces a similar kind of action in different tissues, it must be binding to similar type of receptor. Okay, so that is called as the selectivity, which we will study further. It will be more clear in the subsequent slides. Okay, so now how do we see the affinity of the drug? uh, Efficacy, as I told you, it is seen by maximal response, and affinity, it is generally seen by the dissociation constant. Okay, so dissociation constant denoted by Kd. So it is simply, defined as the ability or the dissociation of the drug from its receptor. Okay, so how do we study this dissociation? We will see in the further slide. So one thing, that a drug which has very high Kd value, you know, so that means a drug which has very high Kd value, so obviously it will be easily dissociating from its receptor. A drug which has low Kd value, it will be binding to the receptor for a longer time. Okay, so Kd is generally inverse of the affinity. We will see in the further slides how we exactly determine Kd and efficacy and selectivity. All right. So first, but before that, we have to study what are the different types of receptors, which are present in the body. So broadly, this classification, which I have prepared. So normally, this is not given in your books, but for your easy understanding, I have classified the receptors as into three broad categories. One are physiological, they are also called regulatory receptors. Other are the silent receptors, and third type are the spare receptors. Now, physiological or regulatory itself, they can be constitutive. One of the types can be constitutive, or they can be orphan receptors or the targeted receptors. Okay. Now, what are physiological receptors? Okay. So receptors mediating the effects of drugs similar to that exerted by endogenous substances. Normally, like you see, now these endogenous substances can be either neurotransmitters or hormones or autocoids. Okay, so normally, you see, like GABA is produced in the brain. It is a common inhibitory neurotransmitter. Okay, so when we give a drug like benzodiazepines or barbiturates, they modulate the binding of GABA to its receptor. Okay, so that means normally the GABA A receptor, which is present in the body, it is a physiological receptor because it is modulated by an endogenously present GABA within the brain. Okay, similarly, glutamate receptors are modulated, their receptors like by NMDA or kainate receptors. Okay, and similarly for a lot of hormones also and autocoid histamine, histaminergic receptors are there. As you know, normally histamine is produced and it leads to gastric acid secretion. Prostaglandins are, very common mediators of inflammation, normally produced inside the body. Okay, so when we give the anti-inflammatory drugs or analgesic drugs, so they inhibit these prostaglandins. Okay, by inhibiting the enzyme like the COX enzyme, which is responsible for synthesis of these prostaglandins. Okay, so such type of receptors are usually called as regulatory proteins, and drugs acting on such receptors are usually the agonists. Okay, so they will be mediating the positive effect on these receptors. Okay, and please remember, majority of the drugs act through these physiological receptors. That means all the drugs which we normally give, that is from outside, they will either be modulating the receptors for the endogenously produced GABA, glutamate, or epinephrine, or hormones like growth hormone, or the other thyroid hormones, and steroids, and all those kind of receptors. Okay. So in this context, we should now study, as I told you in the previous slide, so drugs which act on these physiological receptors are known as agonists. So what are the different types of agonists? So the different types of agonists can be a primary agonist. Okay. So what will be a primary? Suppose we give a drug and it binds at the same site as that of an endogenous substance. Okay. So like, we give normally, let's say the cholinergic drugs, we give pilocarpine, and it binds to muscarinic receptor, So, and normally